Good evening, everyone. We are back resuming our Studio Ghibli retrospective. We had a week off last week. I had a bunch of cinema visits booked, and I
Don't you
just
just
couldn't.
wish when you have a week off from stuff, you could just like a vampire, just do that for like a week and just
All the time.
reset? Like the amount of times, like if I took a week off work, you just kind of like I end up doing things. I'm like, I really wish I could just do this for the whole week, and you come back and you go, I'm refreshed, but you don't.
Yeah, no, no, unfortunately. But I had a bunch of cinema visits booked. So it was the Indiana Jones trilogy. I went to see. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I think we
So
only did
obviously
two of
that
those.
it was all three on the big screen were amazing, including Temple of Doom, which was an extended version, which I hadn't seen before, which I think is like the American PG-13. But anyway, that all clashed with Wednesday, and then I couldn't find another day to get this watched and everything else. So I said, let's just park it to next week. And here we are, and we are coming back strong with My Neighbors the Yamadas from 1999. I had seen posters for this film before, so I was going into this aware of the much more minimalistic comic strip animation style, which I tell you what, coming hot off the heels of Princess Mononoke last time, is a little bit of whiplash. I'm not even against the animation necessarily in this one, and I want to get your opinions on it in just a second. But if we go into initial opinions, had you heard anything about this? Had you seen this on any of the lists that you were reading through?
I
Or
saw it on the thing. I knew what the animation looked like. It looked like Shin-chan, which I think I've said before. The thing that I don't think you knew what it is. It reminded me of that sort of thing, like the character style. I mean, the character on the cover that I saw, he looked like Harry Potter. So I was like, oh, that's. It was the eyes. They looked like glasses. It looked like, and it was really weird. And you see him born, don't you? It's really, really odd. It's a really weird thing. Animation wise, the thing with the animation is it because of what we've seen before, it just doesn't make sense. Like you think, okay, like you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Like I don't think it was something. It took me a good 20 minutes to kind of like get into it, thinking, okay, appreciate it for what it is.
yeah,
And once you do that, it's not as bad, like the animation wise, because it's not the worst animation. If you appreciate what it is and you look at it, it's like, okay, it's not the worst, it's different, but it's like anything that's different, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's let's start that sentence again. Everyone, for things that are different, is always going to start off like you're going to have an opinion on it and go, oh, is this what we're doing or whatever? And I mean, something like that is a good example of when a band brings out a new song, a band that you love, and they haven't brought out a song in like 15, 20 years. Instantly, a lot of people's reaction is like, it doesn't really add up to it. And then after a few listens, you get into it, so you appreciate it. Anyway, point I'm making is once you get past that initial, it's actually done all right. It's just a weird take when the kind of animation we've got to go to this, and then it's never revisited again, is it? It's just a weird sort of like, why is this included?
Yeah, and we often champion animated films like that. Like, I know we weren't even massively keen on this film per se, but when we did the Disney films, the Disney retrospective, and we got to, I think it was Wish, and we were like, oh yeah, but this stands out in terms of its animation because it looks different to anything that we've seen before. And I actually think the Studio Ghibli films are probably the best example of that. I mean, this is directed by Isao Takahata, who's done a lot of the films that we've covered so far, including Grave of the Fireflies, Pom Poko. And even if you just take those two films and this one, all of the animation style in all three of those films is wildly different. It's not the typical anime style that you come to expect from the Studio Ghibli films and what they're best known for. I actually really like the animation in this one. I tell you what it reminded me of. You ever seen like the Peanuts movie or Charlie Brown?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or something, if you're a UK viewer, like the Mr. Men books, like that very sketchy, minimalistic style to the artwork. And it really worked for me. And even though it was like fairly, very sort of sketchy style, very, very minimalistic, there are some quite elaborate sequences in this. There's like the bit at the beginning where you see the parents get married and they're embarking on their new married life together. And it's almost like they're in a bobsleigh and they're coming down like this winding, it looks like ice, like the twists and the turns.
I need them to be Jamaican.
Yes, yeah.
I can't take it seriously if they're not.
Sanka, you did. Yeah, man.
I need that.
That's a great fucking movie. But yeah, and the animation, it's like they're in a bobsleigh, and then the camera pans out, and they're sort of winding around this giant wedding cake. I thought, oh, that's really creative in terms of the visuals. And then there's like a whole elaborate chase sequence at one point where they're on motorbikes, and he's like a superhero chasing someone down to rescue someone. There's bits with like bikers, and it almost reminds me of, you know, the song Take On Me by Aha, the music video to that, how it's almost like a flip book. It's like this really sort of sketchy, I'm trying to however you describe that music video, if you know the music video I'm talking about, Aha's Take On Me, it reminded me of that style. And then there's moments where, you know, a person will be on like a crowded train or something, and the main character is animated, and the rest are just kind of like gray blobs. There's no detail on them. It's just like a humanoid shape.
Do you remember a book, Kensuke's Kingdom, with the with the
I recognize the name.
Yeah, I can't remember who wrote it. I don't even know why it was a thing, but like you said, you recognize the name. Like, people used it in school as a thing. I don't know why. I can't remember why. But it was this guy on a boat, and there was a boat.
Oh yeah, Michael Mulpergo was the
it.
one who wrote it. Yeah, I remember the cover now in our library. Apparently they did a film in 2023, which I didn't know.
I didn't know that. I remember it being an all right book, but I don't know why. It's one of those things where it's used in schools. I don't know why. It's just, you know what I mean? But anyway, but you know, the front cover, it's got like, isn't like a boat and there's the waves. There's that sort of, it has that kind of anime, and it even has that, there's like that scene happens with the boat, and then there's the waves, and it looks like the same sort of art style. So yeah, I did get flashbacks to that, which I thought was quite cool.
How would we describe this movie? Everywhere I found, it's very minimal how it describes it. It's really a slice of life movie. Now, a slice of life movie for me can go either way. One example I think we always throw around is something like, well, I guess I'm going with two Tarantino films here, Reservoir Dogs and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And those films are fantastic. And I think you have to toe the line with those films. I think sometimes if they are completely aimless without a plot and they don't have engaging characters, especially with a film like this runtime was up there again. This was 104 minutes, so it's quite lengthy for what it is.
Again, I found it a weird. Why did it need to be that long?
I felt the runtime on this one. I really did. The film itself is a bunch of like a series of vignettes. I think it is actually based on a manga of some kind, and I'm guessing that's fairly episodic as well, how it's told. And this is exactly that. There's not really like a main. There isn't like a main narrative. It's small little short stories all in one big film. And I was thinking at one point, like, I think this could really work as a short film.
I just thought what the animation reminds me of, like, exactly. So remember the Red Bull advert, like the first ones with those Red Bull gives you wings. That's what it reminds me of. It's the exact same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's weird that they went for as long a movie as they did, like, because it's one of those things of, you know, when things are movies, obviously they have a higher budget, all that sort of stuff. So when you see another sort of anime thing I can use is like Dragon Ball. When you see, because obviously, you know, it's an anime TV show. And then when you see the movies, so like when they release Battle of Gods and you have like the panning and that go through the buildings and stuff like that, like that's something you're not going to see in the series because obviously they got a higher budget and that's what they're going to do. And it's just, so you're used to seeing that kind of stuff, and seeing this in a whole movie that's 104 minutes was just odd.
Yeah, so the kind of manga that it's based on, apparently it's called a Yonkoma manga, and what it is essentially is it's like something you'd find in the newspaper. You know how you'd get like a 2 to 3 to 4 panel little comic, like a humorous little comic skit or something. You used to get them in the newspapers. I don't know if they still do them now. It's essentially based on something like that. So I think to that effect, it definitely achieved that. It has, you know, like each little there are some funny moments in this. There are some moments that genuinely did make me laugh. I think the grandma's really she's my favorite character in this. I thought she was brilliant.
I don't know if this will mean anything to you. It meant so she was voiced in the English version. The girl from Animaniacs, the Dot from Animaniacs.
Yeah.
You voice her, Tess, whatever her name is. Anyway, we all know her.
Oh, Tress Mc.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, her. And she voiced the grandma. And she did the same voice that she did for Mrs. Bolt, who was in Lloyd in Space. Was like a cartoon on Disney Channel. Because I listened to it and I knew she was in a movie that was coming up, and I was listening to obviously the voice actors and stuff. And I don't particularly, when I watch these, like I looked up a couple of things who was the voice actors. I think me and you went through them for all of them, just saying, oh, this person's in this one, da 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 da. But before I come to watch it, I don't then look at the whole thing just beforehand. So then when it comes to the voice actors, I mean, I'm one of those people, and I think a lot of people do, you know, when you see an actor in a movie and you're like, oh, where do I know this person from? And then you sat there for the 2 hours wondering where you know them from, and you've missed the whole thing. But like, I do that a lot as well, and especially like with voices. Oh, I know that from somewhere, and then I was like, oh, it's she was in Lloyd in Space, and I was like, oh, that's her. And so I thought it was really cool. It was like, oh, that was the exact same voice, but the voice acting was good in this.
And it's got Cogsworth apparently as the haiku reader, the narrator, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that. And Jim Belushi. Jim Belushi is the main one. Wow.
Belushi, that's it.
This is one that I actually would be interested to go back and watch in English. I think actually if I do go back and watch any of these in the future, I will go for the dubbed versions now that I've seen the ones in the original language.
I think it's a movie. If it got lost to time, I don't think anyone would miss it.
I've seen from a lot of people, they say that this is the really underrated one, and I do like that Isao Takahata is very versatile with the ones that he directs. All of them are wildly different. I think that he's probably, out of all of them, deals with the films with the most mature subject matter. I mean, fuck me, Grave of the Fireflies, right? Like, it's just absolutely harrowing. And even Pompoko as well, with the subject matter in that. I know that I think I enjoyed that one more than you did. That the one about the raccoons. Yeah.
That was literally, I think that was like my main opinion, boring. But yes.
So this one, I mean, it's just like, do you pick a favorite vignette? I mean, the bits that stand out to me in this film, I like the bit where the grandma stands up to the biker gang that park outside their neighborhood. Yeah,
she was my favorite character. I think she had the most personality, it's that witty kind of, I don't know if witty is the right word, but you know, that the grandma that you have that just doesn't really have much of a filter anymore. Kind of says stuff like, I mean, obviously this is a very different kind of take, but you know, the what's it called, Catherine Tate, you know, the grandma that she did, that kind of no filter, sort of like kind of an older person just kind of says things, and I like that, and I thought she was really great. So yeah, I think if we were to name like favorite characters, stuff like that, I think, you know, I'd go for her. But favorite scenes, I like the ending scene with the Que Sera Sera. I thought that was quite cool. That was quite nice. You know, I was quite you know, captivated and intrigued by it, and I think that was a good example of how it went on for the whole song, and that was cool. But it was an example of how this movie didn't do a lot of like, okay, we'll do a little clip here, then we'll do this. It was just, okay, this is going to be the whole song, then this scene's going to be this long, and then it was quite expansive, but that I did enjoy.
Yeah, I think the writing is pretty good in this one. Another bit with the grandma I really liked is where the mom of the family really wants sushi to eat, and she says like, oh, I'm going to order in sushi, and the grandma's like, oh, it's really expensive, I'm not going to order in sushi, like I'll make some. And the mom's like, yeah, that's what I wanted to happen, I wanted her to make some sushi for me. And then she goes in the kitchen and the grandma's making beef stroganoff, and she says, I knew you were trying to make me make some sushi, so no, I'm making beef stroganoff instead. And then she like messes it up, doesn't she? And she's just like, yeah, let's order in some sushi. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was quite a witty scene. And there's lots of little scenes like that. I think the film definitely focuses more on the parents, I found, than the kids, because I know a lot of the other Ghibli films, especially My Neighbor Totoro, it is from, you know, through the eyes of the children in this whimsical world. And there are some moments in this film that do focus on the kids a little bit, but I think it's definitely more of the parents. I think it's probably more of an adult film in that way. I think the thing that I appreciated about the film, I won't say this is like one of my favorites by any stretch of the imagination, but there are aspects to it I like. That it does kind of show the beauty in the mundanity of everyday life. I think there is a lot of this film that, if you've grown up in a household similar to this at some point in your life, are very applicable and are very relatable. And, you know, there are moments where you're seeing like the father of the family, he's getting home from work, he's absolutely shattered, he's got no go in him, he's completely tired. And he comes back and he kind of snaps at the wife a little bit. You know, she makes him some food and he's like, do you think like I work all day and I want to eat that? Like, what is that? And she says, well, I can give you a banana if you want. He's like, I don't work all day for a banana. And then after he sort of sits and rests for a while, he just picks up the banana and starts peeling it and just eats it. And I thought, yeah, it is kind of like a beauty in that, in life, like married couples, you go from like the highest highs, and you also go from the lowest lows where you can't stand each other and you're bickering, but ultimately every member of the family, they do love each other. There is that deep connection there. I think that's the overall theme of the film, and I thought that was handled pretty well. But I do think that the runtime is quite excessive for something like this, especially when you don't have a main narrative. It can be quite a chore to sit through something like this a little bit.
Yeah, I think there is a limit when things have a certain narrative, when things are like sort of like you say, it's more of a day in the life sort of thing. I think there's a limit of what you can do, well, not a limit of what you can do, but it gets to a point where you can do it so much, and then you go, okay, but there's no overarching plot. We're not hanging on to this character because of this. It's kind of like, we've seen these characters, they've had wacky things, amazing, but now let's wrap it up. You know?
Yeah. I thought the music was quite understated in this one, maybe intentionally so. So the music was done by Akiko Yano. I'm probably absolutely butchering that pronunciation, but fairly unremarkable music, not counting the song and dance numbers like you mentioned, like Que Sera Sera, but the actual music throughout the film. It's very, very understated, I think, throughout the film. Nothing particularly jumped out to me. I don't think it's awful music, but it is quite bare bones. I thought there's not these, sprawling string orchestras or anything, or the lavish themes that you get from like the Joe Hisaishi stuff. What I thought was interesting about this one is, and we kind of talked about this with Princess Mononoke last time, in that they started to integrate computer animation and everything like that. So apparently this film was advertised as the first Studio Ghibli film to be entirely digital, but that's sort of incorrect, because apparently only the coloring of the animation was done digitally. Everything else wasn't. So yeah, I think they're the only sort of behind the scenes notes on this one. Really, there's not a whole lot more to say.
Well,
so I think, oh god, sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't find too much, because I do look it up afterwards with the whole. I know you do a lot more behind the scenes sort of stuff, but I do look up obviously things to do with the plot, and I think because you said it as well, when it comes to the plot, it's very bare bones. You're like, there's not loads and loads to read. It's sort of like it was done and then they forgot about it.
Saying this is would I say this is the worst one so far? Maybe, but saying that like the one,
to be fair, it's my least favorite, but Pompoko is just boring. This was at least a bit more entertaining.
I really enjoyed Pompoko. There were some bits where I felt that, but by the end it all tied it, and yeah,
I think
was fully invested.
I found more enjoyable as an overall. I found the other one a bit like
yeah,
and yeah, it was so I don't know. It's one of my least favorite ones, because even when you think, the thing is, and I thought this about what was the first one, the one we could never pronounce the name.
Nausicaä, Valley of the Wind. Yeah.
That's one where I can't remember if I said I wouldn't ever revisit it, and I've not revisited it. But that's one where now, if I think back, it's grown on me, like it's matured. If you get what I mean, like I thought back, I'm like, you know what? It was a bit boring. It was a bit dragged out, long, kind of like Star Wars Episode 1, in the sense of like, as a kid, watched it and I was like, hey, like it just went over my head, a lot of it, and that kind of a little bit different, because I don't now watching it, but you know what I mean, a little bit sort of like it was quite long, and then it matured. Star Wars Episode 1 I started to really enjoy years and years and years later, and I was like, you know what, like if anyone asked me, do you like Episode 1, I'm like, yeah, no, I like Episode 1. Episode 1's good. Episode 2 we don't talk about. But you know what I mean, it's like that first one is kind of the same, like it started to mature on me, and maybe I will go back to it at some point. So this is definitely something where I would say it's definitely lower down the list than that. And I wonder, has the first one creeped up on me because I've seen these and gone, it's actually a lot better than these? Or has it just, I think it has just matured as a movie where it needs time to simmer.
Yeah, I think JX probably puts it the best here. He says, worst as in least good instead of most bad. Yeah, I think that's fair to say, because there is a lot I like about this. As we've discussed, the animation style is different, significantly different from what we've seen before, and I think that may turn some people off that have become accustomed to and expect those, you know, beautiful, highly detailed, really colorful anime artworks that we've seen before in the animation from all the other Studio Ghibli films. But also, this makes it very unique, and I think it fits the style, and they were going for that, you know, the little 2, 3, 4 comic book panel style animation. I think to that effect they achieved it. It's a nice sort of slice of life comedy antics, really. It's sort of like comedy skits really woven together in just shy of 2 hours, which I do think is excessive, but I don't know if I'd clamor to watch this one again. If I do, it will be the dubbed version. I want to see if that sort of goes over a bit differently with the viewing experience.
I will say that I did think the voice actor was good from every character. I think, you know, they were all really, really decent in it. It's not one of them where anyone felt stiff. It was all there was a lot of personality to them. Like I said, when you enjoy it for what it is, it's not terrible. It's not something where I go, oh, don't waste your time. It's just more of, you know, it's not something I go, look, this is time I'm never going to get back. It's just something that's like, in comparison, yeah, I mean, if you never watch it, you're not missing much. But if you appreciate it for what it is, it's not bad, you know.
Well, next week we are talking about one that I am incredibly looking forward to talking about. I have seen it before. It's been a long time, so it will be like watching it again for the first time. Spirited Away.
I've heard so many things about it. I don't have a clue about any of it except there's a witch and there's monsters.
There's gods. There's spirit.
I don't really know anything about it. I know as much about it as when I started Lord of the Rings, and since I know the kind of idea of this world, and that's kind of it. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm intrigued.
It's a pretty big deal, the one next week, because apparently it's the first hand-drawn non-English language animated film to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, which is huge bragging rights. And yeah, really looking forward to jumping into that one. That's 2 hours 5 minutes as well. I tell you what, these Studio Ghibli films, they're up there in terms of runtime. But it's a great one. I'm really looking forward to that, and it would be nice to revisit that and to get your opinion on it as well, because I feel like I've hyped it up and you've seen it elsewhere, people hyping it up too. So hopefully it lives up to it.
I wonder if it'll fall into that trap where I go, it's all right.
Maybe. Maybe.
Like The Last of Us, I played it, I went, okay. And yeah, because everyone, but from what I've been told, it's like, it sounds like my kind of thing, so I might love it. But we will see.
I'm curious to see if anything's going to unseat My Neighbors the Yamadas. My Neighbor Totoro as your number one spot. I want to see if one comes along that will kick it off.
The thing is, My Neighbor Totoro has just got such a charm that but this is kind of I don't know. We will see. We will see. But it does have a charm that's like, oh, will it beat that though? Will it beat that charm?
7,
will it beat the music? That's the thing. There's something I don't know if it will. I don't know if the music will be beaten.
Including Spirited Away, we've got 12 films left. So yeah, we've got exactly 3 months of this left. If my math is mathing on that. Yeah. 12. Yeah. Cool. So by the end of the year, we'll have them all done. And that's another huge retrospective of films we can tick off our list and say, yeah, we've watched every single one of those, which is pretty cool. Right, we're going to round off there. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight and JX for commenting along as we went. We will be back next Wednesday for some Spirited Away. So until then, take care.